I am so excited to be here, and it's a big hello to our Highlights Foundation family. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. For those that may not know me, I'm Kat Galliano. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the social media manager at the Highlights Foundation, aka the person always resharing your posts, slash the person who's commenting with blue and green hearts on your posts. That's me. I am joining you from Westchester, New York, on the traditional lands of the C1Y people. And apart from all the things I get to do at the Highlights Foundation, one of my greatest joys is celebrating the book birthdays of the community members, faculty, and friends that make up the Highlights Foundation. Because all your wins are our wins, so this is very, very special for me. And today I have the honor of celebrating Stephanie Gibeault and her newest book, Baby, a nonfiction middle grade titled Making Sense of Dog Sense: How Our Furry Friends Experience the World. Yay! There it is. It is illustrated by Raz Latif. Stephanie has also taught the Rock the Research Mini and a research intensive with us, so we are extra excited to have you. But before we dive in, I just want to remind our viewers that joining in any Highlights Foundation sessions to do so with no hate, no harm, and no harassment of any kind. Now, let's get started. How are you feeling? Publishing day was last week, so we are just, still in celebration mode. Frankly, I think we should be celebrating all month, so I think, a week is nothing. So how are you feeling after the book has now made its way into the world?
I'm feeling so excited and so happy to see it. And you're right. I think there's a lot of downs on the publishing roller coaster. So let's celebrate the ups for as long as we can. So I think birthday
Absolutely.
week sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it out in the world after the journey it's taken. I went to the bookstore. I saw it on the shelf on release day, and I nearly cried in the bookstore. I was so excited to see it there. I think that never gets old, right? Seeing your book in the bookstore. But at the same time, I feel like this is a very busy, chaotic time because I have another middle grade nonfiction launching on May the 7th. So I'm trying to savor making sense of dog senses while prepping for calculating chimpanzees, brainy bees, and other animals with mind-blowing mathematical abilities. So it's a lot in a short period of time.
I bet. Oh my gosh. I think we're gonna have to just talk next month about that other book, just so you know. I'm happy to do this again. Please. Like
Absolutely.
this could be a thing. I also just want to tell people that I got a chance to read the book, and as someone who has never owned a pet but is a huge dog lover, I cannot tell you how every single person needs this book. And I mean that so wholeheartedly because our pets are just such a part of our lives. Like they are truly a family member. And this sort of gave me a really unbelievable insight on how they function. And so I was just like tearing through it and then going back, and I'm gonna go gift this to like every dog person I know. So I'm like, it was just so like, Stephanie, thank you for sharing this with the world because like our furry friends are so important. So the fact that we get to like understand them in a way that like, scientifically, the way that you wrote this, I'm just like, oh my God, blown away. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This was such a fun read, such a fun read. So thank you for the opportunity for letting me read it ahead of time.
Oh, thank you
Anyway,
for your kind words.
okay, enough flowers. We'll get into our second question. Can you talk a little bit about how the idea of this book came to you and how your process was of getting that onto the page?
Yeah, so I've always loved animals, like since I was first born, and after years as a biologist, I ended up taking a path where I became a certified professional dog trainer, and I own a Chihuahua Cross who's 17 and a half now, and his favorite pastime is sleeping on the couch. But I learned so much from him as well as from all the dog training, and I noticed a lot of my dog training clients kept interpreting their dog's behavior through a human lens, and they were
Mm-hmm.
treating them as furry little people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to diminish them in any way when I say this, but they are dogs. They are not
Yes.
furry little people. And that's just as magnificent, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I really wanted to do was help kids understand that dog lens, to see the world through the eyes of their dog and the nose of their dog and the ears of their dog, right? All the senses that the dogs have. So that was really where I think that idea came from. but it was a 5-year journey from the idea to the actual book. So I came up with the concept in 2019, and I began to put it on paper in June of that year, and it turned into a book proposal. So for people who aren't familiar with nonfiction for middle grade YA and adult, you don't write the book. You write a book proposal instead, which is like a giant sales document and sample chapters and the market and all the comp titles. And I put that together. It went on sub, that book proposal, in February of 2021. I had two publishers that were interested in it. So I met with the different editors and we discussed their vision. And it sold to Owl Kids in September of that same year of 2021. I really liked the vision Owl Kids had for the book. But now that it was sold, I had to actually write it. So I only had 4 months to produce the first draft of the book. And
Whoa.
then 3 months after that to revise it to what ended up being the final version. So it was a very truncated experience to come in and write it after selling it that way. So that was sort of interesting. The book was announced in June 2022, and then it just released on April 15th. So that's sort of the journey of how it went from the idea to finally getting it on the page.
It's and like I don't write nonfiction, so hearing this is like so fascinating. Like, you don't even go and write the thing, you write like the book proposal and setting that up as a sales document, like that makes so much sense. And then having that short in time to like research, write, like I can't even imagine. Oh my gosh. Well, it is out in the world, people, so go run and get it because it is one amazing book. Um, Now we're going to pivot and we're going to talk about how your journey, what your journey has been, and how the Highlights Foundation has played a part in it.
Absolutely. I just want to start out by saying highlights is magical. And I don't say that lightly. There's just something when you go, I mean, the online events are incredible, but when you go in person, it's like there's twinkles in the air, there's just inspiration everywhere. It's an incredible place. So it played quite a role for me. Now, my writing journey from the long story of the writing journey is I won my first writing contest in grade 3. So I guess I started this a long time ago. It was a book, it was writing a story based on the book Norbert Nipkin. If anybody's familiar with that, I'm aging myself there, but that was written by Robert McConnell and illustrated by Steve Pilcher. And I was so excited to meet the author and win the writing contest, but then I didn't write stories for children again until 2011. I did a lot of academic writing, but you think with a start like that, maybe I would have kept it up, but I didn't. But in 2011, I started to write stories for my niece and nephew. And it was just for them and just for fun. But in 2016, I thought, no, I want to get serious with this. And I went to my first writing conference and I realized there's so much you don't know. So then I threw myself into workshops and courses and reading craft books. And then in fall of 2017, I went to my first Highlights in-person retreat. And that was Getting Your Novel Unstuck with Chris Tebbets and Elise Broach. And it was phenomenal. Just to be surrounded by other writers, and we all had the same dreams and goals, and just learning about humor from Chris. I mean, he gave me the assignment of watching The Simpsons to learn how to write humor. So that was pretty good homework. But that was amazing. And I'm so grateful because I went on a partial scholarship, and that made such a difference to me as well. And I never finished, well, I shouldn't say I did finish that middle grade novel, but it never went anywhere except the desk drawer. But that was still transformative. And then in September 2019, I went back to Highlights and I did another retreat. And again, on partial scholarship, which I'm so grateful for. And that was Nuts and Bolts of Science Writing with Heather Montgomery, Miranda Paul, and Jennifer Swanson. And that changed the whole trajectory of my journey. It had never sort of crossed my mind before to go in that direction, embrace science writing, embrace my biology background. And I learned about book proposals and I learned about the market and I learned about structure and so many incredible key things. That was fantastic. And then I started querying agents in earnest in 2020. I did it a little earlier when I shouldn't have, but I started in earnest in 2020 when I had my book proposals in order. And then I signed with my amazing agent, Jackie Lipton, at the Tobias Literary Agency in January of 2021, based on those proposals that I developed from the Highlights Foundation retreat. And then that first project to go on sub the next month was making sense of dog senses. And then that's where the journey, the rest of the story.
That's amazing. I just want to give a shout out to Jackie. I did see that she just popped in. So, hi, Jackie. It was like perfect, immaculate timing. That is so special. Thank you for sharing that because um, obviously pre-pandemic we were strictly in person, but post-pandemic we've been online. So it's been so beautiful to see that that magic sort of translate online because so many people were like, that magic can't be replicated. Of course it can't, but I'm so glad that it has been able to translate online. And of course now you teach with us. So this is such like a beautiful story to hear how you it was kind of like a collision of all the things you knew how to do and all the courses you took, and then it sort of just kind of like came together and put you in that path, and now you write these amazing nonfiction children's books and you teach with us, and it's just such an amazing overarch to see all of that. So thank you for sharing with us. I'm curious because I'm a former journalist. So research is something I do love to do and enjoy doing. So can you walk us through your research aspect for this book? And again, how you took all that information that is research and then condensed it in a way for young readers.
Yes, it was a challenge, as you will appreciate of having done that yourself. I have a biology background. I worked for years as a biologist, so research is sort of my superpower. I love it, and I love digging deep into things, and I'm always questioning, well, let me get to the source of that. So I love that part. But for this book, I had to know all about dog senses, but
Mm-hmm.
then human senses as
Mm-hmm.
well, to compare and show kids where the differences and similarities are. So it was a huge amount of material to understand and kind of put together. So that was the difficult part. I used a lot of academic journal articles,
Mm-hmm.
so research studies from scientists. I used a lot of books. I used magazine articles. So I was looking all over the place and trying to synthesize this
Mm-hmm.
information. And I looked for the facts that either made me say, wow, or ew, because I thought that was the stuff that was the most kid friendly, right? The most kid relatable.
Yes.
Because some of the things are fascinating to me as a former biologist, but maybe not to a 10-year-old. So you have to really look at it through that kid-centric lens when you're choosing. And a lot of the material that you find out ends up on the cutting room floor
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't make the wow or the ew cut, right? So it was challenging to find those nuggets that I thought the kids would appreciate the most. And then, of course, in nonfiction, you have to scaffold the information
Mm-hmm.
with facts the children already know. You can't just jump into evolution without explaining what you mean by that. So that was the other challenge. I had to make sure I was putting everything at the right level and building it
Mm-hmm.
up based on the knowledge base that the readers would already have. And of course, I did a lot of rewriting, and I want to shout out to my critique partners, the Word Weavers, who I know some of them are here today. So thank you so much. And my amazing Owl Kids editor, Stacy Roderick. We went back and forth, and oh, this isn't kid friendly enough, or this fact get deeper here. So I had a lot of help from people as well to kind of synthesize it all into something that hopefully kids really find fascinating.
Yeah, because like there was one that I found I literally wrote it in my notes. It was like the how you basically said that the fire hydrant is essentially like a catch-up place for neighborhood gossip. And I was like, that is hysterical because of course like I don't have any pets, but I've been dog sitting and dog walking multiple times. And so I'm just like, what is it about the fire hydrant every time? And when I read this, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. It's literally they're just sniffing out like what's going on in the neighborhood. And I was like, what a perfect example. So like there's so many nuggets like that in the book. So it just kind of like listen, you had so many aha moments about things that just started clicking in about your pets. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. Okay, yes. Oh. So, and then there was
Oh,
like one about
good.
the dirty diaper, which I'm not going to spoil because you have to read it. Like, I was cracking up about like, why? Ew, so gross. But like, then you make sense. It was, oh, so many good nuggets. Everyone, you have to read it. It's so good. Um, so my last question, which I can't believe we're heading to the end of this already, but my last question is, what do you hope kids will take away from your book?
So there's a lot of things I hope they take away, but I think the biggest one for me is a sense of awe, the wow. They aren't dogs cool because they're dogs,
Hmm.
not furry little humans. That just appreciation for the fascinating facts. I think that is my maybe number one goal, but I also want them to appreciate the dog's point of
Hmm.
view. There's a social emotional learning aspect very subtly in the book that look through someone else's eyes and see things from how it is for them. And I
Hmm.
want them to get that as well, to really think about this is how it is to my pet. And then maybe everybody has their own unique perspective, right? Not just me and my dog. I also think because they can learn to appreciate that their dog has different needs and different drives, they can become better caretakers for their
Hmm.
pets because they're thinking about their dog's needs, not about what would I want right now, but what would my dog, like you said about the fire hydrant.
Hmm.
So many people drag their dog past the fire
Yep.
hydrant and you're spoiling your dog's
Yep.
walk. That's what they wanted to sniff. You just ruined it for them. So I think kids can be better caretakers if they appreciate those aspects of their pet. And finally, just for kids to learn more about science and biology and to be excited to learn more about animals in general, I think would be another really cool thing for them to take away.
Yeah, and like, what better way than to start with the pet that lives in your home, the animal that
Yeah.
lives in your home that's essentially a part of your family. So like what a perfect way to start learning than the person you love and who spends, who is part of the family photos, who is part of the family functions and the gatherings. So it was just, oh my God, what a delightful book, Stephanie. Thank you so
Oh,
much
thank you.
for reaching out to us, for being here with us, for sharing your work with me. And I had such a great time reading it. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
I would like to just say thank you again for celebrating with me. I think having started at that first highlights retreat not long after I'd become serious about this, then to teaching for highlights and doing the celebration, it's like a dream come
Right.
true. And I'm really so grateful for the opportunity. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's watching and for all your support with the book.
And there was some person just wrote yay science. I second that. That was like so fun. This was also our first nonfiction book birthday celebration, so this was so fun for me to read something different and wonderful. And congratulations again on your new story. And for those that may want to order a copy, you can always purchase Stephanie's books or at our virtual bookshop powered by bookshop.org. Please look out on our website because Stephanie might be teaching Rock Your Research again at some point this year. So take a look at our website for more information and updates. Also, Stephanie mentioned her second book is coming out next month, which, we might have a second conversation for that. But in the meantime, just remember it's coming out very soon. And thank you again, Stephanie, for joining us. Please do yourself a favor, especially if you have a furry best friend. Get this book. You just like learn so much more about your animal, and like Stephanie mentioned, you become a better caretaker. So thank you so much everyone for joining us and all the beautiful comments. I haven't seen any questions from everybody. It's kind of just love, 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 which is awesome too, and I really appreciate that. um, but yes, in that case, I let me just do one quick scroll more. Yep, it's just lots and lots of love. So in that
Can
case,
I
we
add one thing before we go,
of
Kat, that I completely
course.
forgot to mention?
Yes, of
So
course.
making sense of dog senses is a middle grade.
Yes.
There's a little glitch on Amazon right now that we're trying to fix where it says picture
Okay.
book, but it's actually a middle grade. And what I wanted to say is there is a middle grade coming out, sorry, a picture book coming out next year. with owl kids that will be, it's called Dogs versus Humans, a battle, a showdown of the senses. And it's sort of a battle between humans and dogs and their senses for a picture book
Oh,
audience. So I
yeah,
just wanted
perfect.
to clarify this one was middle grade and there will be a picture book coming out next year.
Perfect. Yes. And just because there is illustrations, just want to clarify, it is a middle grade. There,
Yeah.
it is very research heavy and text heavy. But for the win, there'll be a picture book version next year. So
Yeah.
we all win. So if you can wait till next year, if not, just get it this year and read it for yourself and then explain it to your littles. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, Stephanie, and thank you
You
again,
too.
everyone, for joining
Thank
us.
you, everyone. Thank you, Kat.
Bye.
Bye.